Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is If Loving You Is Wrong, Season 4, Episode 9, and this is I think it's a mid-season finale, but the finale, because it's only been 9 episodes. Come the hell on. But the name of this episode is Chains, Guns, and Automobiles. Yo, this was a fire-ass season finale, y'all. This was the shit. I was so here for everything that happened tonight. But before I get started, first let me offer my love and condolences to Della Reese. I was a huge fan of Della Reese, and she would be greatly missed. She was a monumental talent. I've been listening to her music today and everything, and definitely I loved her in movies like Harlem Nights, A Thin Line Between Love and Hate. Also loved on Touched by an Angel. That was a TV show, but y'all get what I'm saying. But definitely I want to offer my love and condolences to her and her family. Also to everyone who is affected by the tragedy in Texas and Vegas, as well as the people that were affected by the hurricanes Harvey, Irma, Jose, and Maria. So if you can give any relief, if you can give any kind of relief to support, if you can give any kind of relief or support to people who are affected by these tragedies, please do so. And let me begin with this review. Now, we learned from the last episode that Larry and Randall, as I said in previous reviews of the two of them, that they used to get drunk on the late night and play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Well, we learned on the last episode that they used to not only play around with girls, but they also used to play around with guys. But Larry is more into the guy stuff than Randall is. But Randall definitely got that tendency, and we definitely saw that tonight, praise God. So, let me get it in. So the episode picks up where, Larry mentions that you just need to stop messing with Marcy. Marcy's pregnant. But then Randall's like, what the hell did you just say? Immediately, Larry starts backpedaling, saying that he didn't say Marcy, he said Alice. He's like, no, you said Marcy. And he just won't let it go. And then like, he starts putting it together like, so that explains why Marcy's at the hospital, huh? He's like, look, I don't know what you're talking about. I ain't say nothing about Marcy being pregnant. I said Alex. And he was just like, you know what, just get the hell out. He's like, man, I'm drunk. I can't drive. He's like, so what? I drove here. You can drive, get the hell out of here. And then he just yells, get out! And we see that Larry gets up and leaves. Then we get a clip, Marcy's at her car, so he's like, I'm going to call Marcy and find out what the fuck is going on. He calls Marcy. Marcy looks at her call ID, he's like, oh, hell no, I'm not answering that. I'm like, I don't blame you, Marcy, because you're on some fuck shit. But then she actually sees that her car's not starting, so she calls the tow man that helped them come to, for assistance, but they tell her it's going to be about 2 hours. So she decides to call Brad. Brad is asleep. Alex is up. She's up in her bed clothes. She picks up the phone and answers it. And she pretty much tells Marcy, I thought I told you not to call. I thought I told you, not to call Brad anymore. Obviously, you just can't. I warned you, and you seem to not heed my warning. And Marcy's like, look, I need help with my car, and I need him out, so just put Brad on the phone. And she's like, I'm not putting Brad on the phone. You need to stop this shit. It's over. He's back with me now, and you need to leave my husband alone. Marcy's like, either you put his ass on the phone, or I'm calling a cab, and I'm going to drive over there, and I'm going to wake him up and tell him you didn't give him my phone. And tell him that you didn't, answer my call. And she was like, look, bitch, I'm only going to tell you this one more time. Leave my husband alone and call somebody else. And literally hung up on Marcy. And the thing is, when Marcy was on the phone with the tow man, she had asked, can I get a cab? They said, no, we actually need you to stay with the vehicle. So she has to literally stay there for 2 hours. So she was like, but after she had that conversation with Alex, she was like, yeah, can I get a cab? And pretty much that's going on. Then we see going back to Randall's house Randall goes outside to see if Larry left. Larry's sitting on the porch knocked out. And he's like, man, I thought I told you to leave. He's like, man, I ain't going home. I'm drunk. I ain't going no damn where. You crazy. I just went outside to sleep it off. And then all of a sudden he's like, and then all of a sudden Randall, like, he about to leave. He's like, fuck you. And then he was just about to go to his car, and like, Larry's like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, I'm going to go to Marcy's house. And he tries to stop Randall. You're not going over there. You're not going over there. And Randall pushes him off. So what he does is that he grabs the keys from Randall and says, you're not going over there. Next thing you know, the two of them start fighting, and they going back and forth. They rumbling around, and they wrestling and all that. And I was like, foreplay, interesting. And then all of a sudden, he got him down on the ground, and Larry has Randall in a headlock, and then he's like, you getting an erection? And I was like, ooh, like, you well done with it. Then he was like, get off of me or whatever. And then, and then he's saying that, are you calm? Are you calm? In the meantime, Alex can actually hear this upstairs. So pretty much what ends up happening, Alex goes to the window to see what's going on, and she sees them wrestling in the front yard. So eventually he lets him up or whatever. When Randall says he's calm, Larry lets him up, and then they start fighting again and everything. And then all of a sudden he noticed that Alex is in the window, and he's like, oh, what you looking at, bitch? Oh, you want something to see? I'll give you something to see. I'll give you something to see. And literally pulls out his dick. And I'm like, this fool has lost it. And Alex literally shut the curtains and went back to bed. I'm like, see, it's just crazy that you trying to work this thing out with Brad, but how you gonna do that when you got Psycho Betty next door causing all kind of havoc and bullshit? So after all that happened, pretty much they go by. Pretty much what happens is that they still rumbling and tussling, and they go by Larry's car, and he looks inside and he sees all this S&M stuff, and he's like, oh, I see you brought your toys. And he's like, yeah, you know me, I'm always ready. And I was like, ooh, ain't you a little thought? And then all of a sudden we see that Larry is kind of and then the thing is, what happens is that they were wrestling or whatever, and then all of a sudden when he put Larry up against the car, you saw that Randall was fighting that, and I was just like, ooh, so Randall does get down with the boys. He just favors more the girls. He just favors women more than he does men. Oh, but he didn't let Larry up in him, though. Because all of a sudden, it was like he was about to kiss Larry and shit. He's just like, get up out of here, man. And all of a sudden, he noticed all this S&M stuff in the back. And he's like, so I see you brought your toys. And he's like, yeah, you know me, I'm always ready. So, what we going to do tonight, Randall? And he just kind of gives him that look like. I was just like, ooh, you nasty bitch. I was cracking up, and I was like, oh, Larry is just serving the ass, like, come and get this, tie me up and make me your bitch. I mean, he was giving all of that. And Larry's like, man, get out of here with that, man. And then all of a sudden, Randall's like, yeah, whatever. And then Larry's like, yeah, whatever. And then he's like walking, and Larry's like, and then all of a sudden, Randall's like, what the hell you think you're doing? He's like, I'm going in here to sleep it off. He's like, you ain't sleeping in my house. And then all of a sudden, Larry turned around and was like, you want to bet? And I was like, ooh. So that crap was crazy. Then we get like a quick scene with Esperanza's old horny ass. She looking at a picture of Steven when he was, pretty much naked up in our house, and she just looking at the picture and just like, ooh, I'm gonna go to bed. I'm like, yeah, you wish he was up in there with you tearing up your box. You need to stop playing. On the hell you think you fooling? So all of a sudden, next we see Kelly calls Natalie looking for Lucian because she says she hears somebody in her backyard. Kelly says she's coming over, and she gets her gun. So and she pretty much she pretty much knocks on Kelly's door, lets her know, okay, I'm gonna go back here and check. And Natalie's like, you're gonna go back there by yourself? She says, I got this. She's like, you got a gun? She's like, yeah, if I see him, I'm gonna light his ass up. She goes back there and she hears a noise, but it's not Travis. It's actually Eddie next door. He's sleeping in Brad and Alex's backyard, and she's like, what the hell you doing? And she's like, Eddie, what the hell you doing? He's like, what the hell you doing? She's like, Eddie, I almost shot your ass. She's like, man, you ain't gonna do nothing with that toy-ass gun. She's like, what the hell you doing back here? Eddie's like, what the hell you doing back here, huh? And then she's like, yeah, okay, thank you. You just answered your own question. Bye. Like, Eddie is such an asshole. And she's just like, you know what, I ain't got time to deal with you and your bullshit. Because, you know, Eddie and Natalie had some run-ins before. But after Lucian did what he did to him, I don't think he ever going to try that shit again. So she finally goes around and, you know, tells Kelly that it's just fucking Eddie. He's in the backyard, and he's not in your backyard. He's in Alex's backyard. But she tells him that, look, take this gun. And she's like, no, it's like, no. You need to take this gun, and if you see that nigga, you better kill that motherfucker. And I was just like, ooh, okay, Natalie. Natalie's bringing that her. She's like, this gun is mine. But, you know, I want you to have some protection, and I definitely need you to you know, to have something to protect yourself. So she gives Kelly her gun, and pretty much she said, well, what if he comes to your place? Natalie is like, I wish that nigga would. I was like, you better represent Natalie. Natalie ain't about no BS. So then we get a scene with Brad and Alex. They hear noise in the background, and it actually wakes Brad up. So Brad goes out to see what's going on, and he sees Eddie sleeping in his backyard and everything. And he pretty much is saying that, you know, what the hell you doing here, Eddie? Eddie's like, I don't have nowhere else to go, man. You know, and Brad was like, I lent you my credit card. What happened? He's like, man, that crap maxed out a long time ago. He said it had a $5,000 limit. What did you do? He's like, man, I spend that alone on hoes and drugs. Get the fuck out of here with that. I'm just like, you irresponsible bastard. You mean to tell me he gave you a credit card with a $5,000 limit and you didn't even have enough common sense to get a place to lay your head, and you spent it all on drugs and bitches? I swear, that motherfucker is, his whole mental apparatus is completely fucked up. I mean, but that's why we love Eddie, because Eddie is so fucking crazy. But it's like, bruh, you got a daughter at home and all this shit, and you would rather spend your money on drugs and bitches instead of keeping a roof over your head, and you just crashing anywhere. And now you're in the back of Alex and Brad's house, and then he's gonna say, Alex, can I please stay here tonight? I was looking at him like, really? Out of all the out of all the shit that he has talked to Alex, you think Alex gonna let you stay up in her house? Really? So Alex is like, I can't with this motherfucker, and she shuts the door. And then all of a sudden he's like, man, I need a place to stay. You know what I'm saying? I'm your friend. And Brad is like, look, you need to go somewhere else and shit. You can't stay here. He's like, I ain't got nowhere to go, man. Can you at least give me a blanket or a pillow or something? I mean, at least be a friend. So he tosses him like, you know, a pillow and a blanket. He's like, oh, great, you gave me this measly ass pillow and a blanket. Wow, some friend you are, Brad. He's like, I'm just trying to help you, Eddie. He's like, you ain't never did a damn thing for me. I was like, Brad, you should have whooped his motherfucking ass for that. Because first of all, bro, I just gave you my credit card and you maxed it out and shit, and you mean to tell me I ain't never did nothing for you? Oh, it couldn't have been me, because I would have whooped Eddie's ass. I've been like, oh, motherfucker, I ain't never did nothing for you. First of all, you in my backyard sleeping because you took my credit card and maxed it out on some bullshit. So we saw all that happen, and That was the last we saw of him. Well, that's the last we saw of him at that moment. And then before like Brad went in the house, he gonna fucking say, "Oh yeah, and I like my eggs scrambled." Woo! That damn Eddie. That's all I gotta say about that. So he's saying like, so all of a sudden they go back in the house. Brad and Alex have a conversation, and she's like, "Oh my God, the things you do for him." And he's like, "He is your cousin," and she's like, "Yes, and I disowned him a long time ago." And he's like, "You know he needs help." I'm like, "Yeah, but you know, I think he's far beyond that. There ain't no help with that asshole." And Alex is right. You know, he's beyond that shit. Then we get a knock on the door. So it's like it's live, and it's like, you know, reporting live at Brad and Alex's place. So they get up and answer the door. It's Marcy. Marcy took that cab and pretty much was like, "Oh yes, yes, I tried calling you, but you know, Alex wouldn't give you the phone." And she was like, "Well," and then Alex was like, "Well, you were sleeping and I didn't want to wake you." I'm like, they are literally playing this game right over Brad's head. But Brad knows what Marcy's doing though. And she's like, "Look," and he's like, "Well, what are you doing here?" She's like, "Look, I need your help. You know, my car won't start." And she's like, "Well, how's that happen? I just helped you out with your car." She's like, "Yeah, but you helped me out with the flat tire, but now it won't start." And she's like, "I think there was some sugar in my tank or something." And he's like, "Who would do that?" Like, who else? Randall. You know, but she's like, "I really, you know, I have appointments tomorrow and I have a meeting at 7 and, you know, I have a client coming in from LA and I really need to be on my A game. I really need your help. Can I borrow your car?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Okay." And then he's like, "Do you, and then like she was saying that, and then she's like, "Oh yes, and I also have some boxes in my car and everything. Could you help me with those?" And she was like, "Yeah, I'll," you know, because he was just going to let her borrow the car and she could go on about her business. But then when she said that she had some boxes, he was like, "Okay, I'll come and help you out." Then all of a sudden Marcy and Alice was like, "Yeah, bitch, you thought you had one up on me, but I got something for your ass. He always comes when I call." And then Alice was like, "You really want to do this with me?" And Marcy's like, "It's done, boo-boo. You know, if anything, he'll always respond when I call because I know I put it on him. And I know he ain't gotten over me." And then Alice was like, "Okay, yeah, have your little fun now, but I want to see how fun it is when I go tell your husband that you're pregnant with his baby." And she's like, "Go the fuck ahead, do what you gotta do, baby. But trust and believe, by the time you do that, I'll be having him calling my name tonight. So, you know, do what you gotta do." So, because Marcy's like, "I'm not bothered, honey. I'm taking your man out of your bed, and he's coming to mine. You know, that's what she's eating." So all of a sudden, they about to leave, and you know, Alice is like, "I'll wait up for you," and he's like, "Oh no, don't wait up." She's like, "Oh no, I'll wait up for you." I was like, I'm like, she got your ass, because you know at the end of the day that he does in a way have feelings for Marcy, but it's more that he cares for Marcy, not that he's in love with her. So then we get a scene with Lucian and Kelly. He goes in to check on Kelly. He lets him, and pretty much he asks what's going on. He lets her know that they had to let Travis go, and you know they couldn't hold him. And she's like, "You know what? I can't. This man has ruined my life, and he's going to continue until he gets stopped. And you mean to tell me you couldn't hold him?" He's like, "I'm sorry, we couldn't." And she's like, "So what's it going to take for him to kill me, for you guys to stop him?" And she's like, "Look," and he's like, "I'm not going to let that happen." And she's like, "Well, how are you going to stop it? How are you going to stop him? You know, it's become too much, and I'm not going to let this little ass kid destroy my life like this. You know, I want my life back. I want my freedom back." And she's like, and then Lucia's like, "Look, everything's going to be okay. Just lock the door and set your alarm, and everything will be fine." So that's exactly what she ended up doing. But we can just see Kelly has had it. And I said, once she gets sick and tired of this asshole, she's going to do something about it. So she's at that point, she is ready to shut shit down. So after that, we see Lucian has a conversation with Natalie, and she was asking like, so she's like, so what's going on with Travis? And she says, and he tells Natalie that we had to let him go, and she's like, oh my God. And she's like, yeah, because I went over there to check on her, and I went in the backyard, and I saw Eddie and shit. And he's like, what the hell Eddie doing back there? He's like, well, he wasn't in Kelly's backyard. He was in Brad and Allison's backyard. And he was like, yeah, okay. And she's like, well, what the hell's Eddie doing out of jail? She's like, we couldn't hold him either. And I'm like, oh, hell. But she said that, well, the good thing about Kelly's good because I gave her my gun. And Lucy's like, what the hell you give her a gun for? She's like, look, she is afraid. But one thing I can say is that when I gave her that gun, she calmed down. So it's good she got that gun, and everything is good. And Lucy's like, you better go down there and get that damn gun back from her. And she's saying that, look, unlike that last gun that y'all took, mine is legit. And she's like, and he had to remind her, yeah, but it's because of you that she had an illegal gun in the first place by buying it from your damn girl. And she's like, you know what? I'm not going to have this conversation. And she's just like, this conversation's done. And she just walks away and shit. Because it's like she don't even want to own the fact that you the one that got Kelly in the bullshit in the first place by making her buy a gun from your girl, but your gun's legit. You should have made sure that her gun was legit too. So then we get a scene with Larry and Randall. Larry and Randall in the backyard, and you know they drinking tequila and shit. He's looking like, yo, is this it? Is this the infamous shed? And he's like, man, I can take the toys and we can hook this up and hook up that, and man, we can have a swing and we can just have us a good old time. You know, both Larry and Randall going back and forth, they drinking and shit, and they so damn loud that Eddie, who's sleeping next door, actually hears them. So he pretty much hears them and everything, and you know, so he was like, yeah, and he was saying that, I can't believe this. You actually brought your next door neighbor over here to have sex in the shed? And Randall's like, yeah, and it was good too. I liked it. It was fun. And he was like, man, you are messed up for that. Like, that's so messed up. How are you just going to mess with your next door neighbor and you do it right next door in your shed? Really? And he was like, and then Randall's like, I know you ain't judging me, Larry, with your S&M ass. He's like, hey, I'm just saying. And then all of a sudden, damn Eddie's like, so what the hell you two ladies are talking about? And all of a sudden, he was like, so pretty much, he was like, oh, so I was hearing about, your toys and all that. Well, he didn't share that at first, but he's like, oh, so I see y'all having a whole bunch of fun going on, what's up? And he's like, so what, you want to do? So what you trying to do, huh? And then Larry was like, well, I actually want to do him, talking about Randall's ass. And then, all of a sudden, Larry was like, who's he? And he's like, I'm Randall. And you are, ma'am? I was like, oh! I'm like, Larry was talking mad shit. And he's like, he was like, he was like, oh no, me and him have, and he's like, yeah, this is, and he was like, oh, okay. And he's like, won't you come over? He's like, nah. And Larry was trying to invite, Larry was trying to invite Eddie over for drinks or whatever. But at first, Eddie was like, hell no, I ain't with that shit. It looks like it's ladies' night anyway, and I don't drink with ladies. And I was like, ooh, yo, Eddie had me dying. And he's like, and he kept being persistent. Larry was like, come on, come over, come have some drinks with us and shit. And And like Randall's like, don't invite his motherfucking ass over here. And he's like, yo, what you drinking? He's like, hey, we can drink whatever you want to drink. He's like, all right, I'll come over. And then all of a sudden, Randall's mad. It's like, why the fuck did you invite him over here? And then all of a sudden, Larry was like, huh, you remember what we did to Michael? I was like, ooh! I'm like, you nasty bitches! So y'all gonna try to set his ass up and... Ooh! Ooh! Jesus! I'm like, oh, these boys are nasty. Like, Marcy, you have no idea who you married because you married a psychotic fuckboy, because that's exactly what Psycho Betty is. Ooh! So not only Psycho Betty, you know, be screwing, you know, people in sheds, but then he also likes to mess with boys and likes to play S&M. You know, more Larry than Randall, but Randall don't object to it that damn much. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So all of a sudden we see that that Eddie comes over. They go back and forth and everything. So Eddie's like, so won't you tell me about, you know, the ties and the chains and all of that shit that you was talking before? And he's like, you heard all of that? He's like, yeah, and I also heard you wanted to do something. And he's like, well, yeah, I want to do Randall. And he's like, huh, it's funny, because I actually thought that was right up your alley, Randall. And he's like, yeah, but it's more up yours, Eddie. So I was like, oh, they was really going back and forth, throwing jabs and shade and everything. Oh, so he's like, so how do y'all, so then Eddie was like, so how do you know him? And then all of a sudden Larry asked Randall, how do you know him? And then Randall told him, oh yeah, this the asshole who took me out in the woods and tried to kill me and shit. He's like, oh yeah, and he was also the one I had the lawsuit against, but I dropped it. Remember he did, you know, file this lawsuit against Eddie and pretty much, you know, kind of loomed it over Eddie's head and it backed Eddie off some. He's like, yeah. And so it's like, oh, so that's the Eddie you were talking about. And he's like, what, you know about me? He's like, well, somewhat. I'm a lawyer, you know. So he's like, oh, so you are his lawyer. Are you the one, you know, that has, like, you know, the wife and kids and all of that and all of that shit. And he was like, and, you know, even talked about, you know, about him. And so he's like, oh, so you know about me? He's like, yeah, I researched you. I researched you when I knew that I found out that you was his lawyer and all that. So I have all your information. But, you know, I can say one thing about Randall's dumbass. He was smart to drop them charges. So he's like, okay. So he was like, so tell me, Larry, how would your wife feel if she found out that you was over here trying to screw Randall? And he was like, man, my wife know everything, man. This is like our thing. We've had Randall before. And I'm like, damn. He's like, yeah, it's like, shoot, we're into that thing. You know, my wife is beautiful, too. And she's a dominatrix, and she's into that shit. And all of a sudden, he started drinking some tequila and everything. And so Eddie started drinking tequila. It's like, yo, do you have something that's of a higher grade? I was like, oh, damn. So you going to come over there, they share their liquor with you, and then you going to clown them saying that their shit is like bottom shelf. So he's like, you got some top shelf shit? He's like, yeah, I got you. So he grabs the bottle, and Larry goes into the house. So all of a sudden, we see that this leaves Randall and Eddie by themselves. And he's like, so tell me, you still trying to get at her? And Randall's like, who? He's like, Alex. He's like, man, that's old news. I done had that. That's passed over. She's like, oh, so you done moved on. He says, yeah, I moved on to bigger and better things. He's like, yeah, really? He's like, yeah, like Esperanza. I mean, she's hot. She's sexy. She got a fat ass. Yeah, but unfortunately, she's not into your kind. Randall's like, what do you mean my kind? Blah. I was like, oh, He was like, you know what, you are the most racist piece of shit I ever met. And Eddie's like, yeah, I take it as a compliment. Next thing you know, we see Larry come out with a plastic bag. He puts it over damn Eddie's head, and both Randall and fucking Larry literally are suffocating the shit out of Eddie. And I was like, Eddie, you walked into that shit, so that's what the fuck you get. And I'm like, oh, they about to literally put your ass out, and they gonna hem your ass up, and they gonna have a little fun with you. So, hey, seemed like the ladies won in that situation. So we saw that go on. Then we see that damn Travis has hopped Kelly's fence. He has cut, the security cord in the box. Then he proceeds to open up the kitchen window. She sees him coming, and she's creeping and everything, and all of a sudden she sees him at the door, and also she sees him at the window, and she's like, oh, this is funny. Excuse me, I'm still kind of under the weather a little bit, but I'm back. But then all of a sudden, he's like, oh, Kelly, it's funny. You're not scared. And she's like, no. Then he's like, and he's sitting at the window looking creepy as shit, telling him, can I come in? And she's like, okay. She's like, you're going to open the door? And she's like, okay. And we see that she takes off the alarm and opens the door, and we see she got that damn gun, and she got it hidden by her side, and she's literally walks into it, and she plays it good, and she was like, so, and also she was like, so what's going on, Kelly? And she was like, I want you. He was like, you do? And she's like, take your clothes off. And he's like, well, baby, let's go in the bedroom. She's like, oh, no. Justice is sleeping. I don't want to wake him. And she was like, I missed you. He's like, I knew you wanted me back. And I just knew that I had to do what I had to do to weigh you down. And she's like, well, you succeeded. And next thing you know, she pulls out the damn gun and pop, 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 shot Travis' ass down. And I was like, yes! Finally, Kelly goes out with a bang, y'all. I was so here for it. I was like, yes, die, Travis, die. Because Travis was doing too damn much. And Travis had too much pull, and he was never going to leave Kelly alone. So she took matters in her own hands and shot that ass up. She took Natalie's advice to shoot a motherfucker down, and that's exactly what she did. So, good for you, Kelly. But then again, now that you killed Travis, you done brought a whole bunch of more shit on you than you realize, because he comes from a chain of money, and you've got a lot more monsters knocking on your doorstep than you realize. So, we're going to see what's going to happen, once the season premieres again. But, yes. This was a damn good episode, and a damn good finale. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to talk to you about it. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, check out my social media platforms. They're in the description box as well. And I've also started a GoFundMe. That link is also in the description box. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I will be back with the mid-season premiere of If Loving You Is Wrong. So until then, everybody, take care.